Joining me now to talk about the election is Frederiga Bindi. She's a scholar with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. Let's begin by your overall impression of this election. What's your biggest takeaway from these elections?
I think that the biggest takeaway is that, given a few exceptions, overall there was a massive raise in participation. So the European election has suffered from a lower turnout than the national elections, and this time citizens realized it was an important election to go to. So I think this is takeaway number one, massive upraise in the turnout. The second one is clearly the suffering of traditional parties who are apparently not able to understand what the citizens are asking them. And the third one is the praise of the liberals and the Greens.
And then, like you said, there seems to be a weakening of Europe's mainstream parties, center-left and center-right. What do you think is the reason for their weakening?
I think that they remain anchored to an old past, for the good or for the bad, and citizens don't think they really represent their needs and their aspirations. So they are going for the newer ones, whether these are protest parties of various kinds, especially to the right, or to parties which are involved, which are perceived as less involved in politics as usual, like the liberals and the Greens.
And some commentators say that the right-wing parties did not do as well as expected. What do you think? Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that assessment. With a few exceptions here and there, like Orban or Lega North, but overall, the massive surge of extreme right didn't happen. Actually, many countries like Denmark, they went down.
And what do you think is the reason behind it?
I think that Brexit has showed that, I mean, the effect of Brexit was a more support for the European Union. And I think this showed that it's not the answer. I also think that some people voted for the extreme right as a form of protest, thinking they would never win. But now they are rethinking and putting their protest vote elsewhere.
And then people are also talking about the rise of green parties and how well they did in this election, and potentially they could be the kingmakers in the parliament.
Absolutely, the socialists and the EPP won't have enough votes to form a coalition to vote for the president, so they will have to find a coalition with either the liberals or the Greens. With the liberals, that happened in the past. With the Greens, it would be an absolute no.
And then, all things considered, what do you think these elections will indicate, can tell us about the future, the political future of the European Union?
Well, if the numbers that the Brexit party got are confirmed, I think the UK will go on with Brexit, which is going to be a massive disaster for them, which also means that it's likely that Scotland and Gibraltar and Northern Ireland will either secede or start a path toward independence. So I think the main result of these European elections is probably the end of the UK as we know it now.
Frederiga Bindi, scholar with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, thanks so much for your insight.